Excuse me.
Excuse me. Tell everyone you've ever met right now, 'cause the bitch is back. Yes, the bitch is back.
Your Buffy and Angel comfort content starts now. Welcome to The Bitch is Back with Charisma Carpenter, a First Watch podcast powered by Patreon. The Bitch is Back is a First Watch podcast of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spinoff, Angel. You might be wondering, why are you doing this now? Well, despite having starred in 147 episodes across both shows, I've never actually watched them until now. You asked, and I delivered. Every podcast episode, you can expect an introduction of the episode, which gives basic information about the writer, director, and release date. Then I will give a summary recap of that week's televised episode, told in my particular brand of sass. This segment is known as This Week on the Hellmouth, according to the Bitch. Here I will be highlighting themes, relevant dialogue, and discuss standout performances as they occur to me. Since this is a first watch reflection and not an academic analysis, it's important to keep in mind that the podcast is meant to be fun, sassy, and lighthearted, but also an exploration of sorts through my lens, rooted in my personal experience, impressions, feelings, and memories from nearly a decade of collaboration over both shows. Then we will transition into a segment I call State and Slayed, where I give a short episode wrap-up. Last but not least, I will give thanks to everyone involved, and then that's when you tell everyone you have ever met about my new podcast, because people, the bitch is back. Welcome to this week's episode of The Bitch is Back. I am your host, Charisma Carpenter. This week's episode is Season 2, Episode 3, School Hard, written by Joss Whedon, story by David Greenwalt, directed by John T. Kretschmer. He was a favorite. Originally released on September 29th, 1997. Notable guest stars, James Marsters and Juliet Landau. This week on the Hellmouth, according to the bitch, brace yourselves, people, because here it comes. Comfort content? Maybe. It's Buffy against the world with a little help from her friends and family, much to the chagrin of the new baddie in town, Spike. And believe it or not, Cordelia has become part of this group of stake whittlers. How? I don't know. Alas, here we are. This episode has all the drama I live for and pretend not to crave. Sinister Principal Snyder, a.k.a. the Fuhrer, is desperately trying to cling to power despite the interference of supernatural forces far beyond his purview. His resentment towards Buffy as a troublemaker is only amplified by her command during the warlike overtaking of the school on parent-teacher night by Spike and the other vamps. Buffy and Joyce both outsmart, and outpower him with common sense, love, and teamwork. Things power-hungry fearmongers could never understand and frequently underestimate. Principal Snyder represents all that threatens us today. He is not a supernatural demon, vampire, or goblin of any sort. He is a suit-wearing, power-hungry, wannabe authoritarian full of mediocrity, fear, and unchecked rage. Am I right? This will be his downfall, and if you think this is about Buffy the Vampire Slayer alone, you're wrong. He and his kind are the true villains of society. Spike and Drew prove to be a complicated mix of evil meets petulance, killing because they can, killing because they're bored, and sadly for the anointed one, craving power and control. They get it. What is it with everybody on the Hellmouth being so drunk on power? Angel and Xander clearly have some bro angst. This is the patriarchal system at work, serving neither one of them, because the patriarchy positions men as dominant. It demands they conform to a rigid set of rules that require them to eschew empathy and suppress emotional expression. It denies men access to the full spectrum of human feeling, including the tears that come with joy, pride, or sadness. These two need to have it out and move the fuck on. Did I just say that? Xander needs to come to terms with Buffy's choice in Angel and work through his perceived rejection, both as a man and as a person. Her romantic rebuffing, see what I did there, is being taken personally, which is harming him, his relationship with Buffy, and his relationship with Angel, rather than simply accepting her love for him as a friend. In the wise words of Cordelia Chase, he needs to spank his inner moppet and get over it, or get some help from a therapist to understand why her rejection feels so painful, or just, cry it out. Willow and Cordelia hold up together in a broom closet, hiding until the danger has passed. Ha! Newsflash, the danger is never going to go away, ladies. Willow seems remarkably calm despite knowing the school has been overtaken by Spike, the two-time Slayer killer, formerly known as William the Bloody. Cordelia is the only one of the two sufficiently scared, in my opinion, which leads to a very amusing prayer to the universe. Amusing. A plea to God that if he gets her out of this one, she will never be mean to anyone ever again, unless they really deserve it. Or, are you ready for it? If it's that time of the month, in which case she claims no one can hold her responsible. Well, on that note, my 2025 feminine rage has officially been activated. Women! We cannot continue to give in to internalized misogyny by spreading the idea that women are biologically unfit to lead or make sound decisions while on their period. As David Susskind famously said, once a month a woman contains hormonal deficiencies. Well, kerflooey. Well, men's rage, ego, and violence are normalized? But who am I to use statistical fact over deep-rooted institutionalized sexism dressed up as pseudoscience? I digress. This episode is one of fear, authoritarian control, rebellion, love, teamwork, loyalty, sacrifice, and the long storied battle between good and evil. This week, good wins. Hello, it's Bitch of the Year Hot Takes. At 22 seconds, the opening scene, Buffy, Principal Snyder, and Sheila, delinquent Sheila. Principal Snyder, a lot of educators tell students, think of your principal as your pal. I say, think of me as your judge, jury, and executioner. Honestly, this reminds me of the 1970s thinking by adults who believed children should be seen and not heard. Parents and all authority figures have the final say on all matters simply because of their age or position of power. And these ideas have relevant meaning to me personally as a child of parents who also believed this, and today as a 55-year-old woman in life experiencing an administration that also believes women, children, low-income, elderly, marginalized, and all the rest should just take what is being dished out politically, socially, economically, and legislatively. Take it and say thank you for their leadership into servitude. These scenes and dialogue in this show mirror the very abuses of power that occur when given to the wrong people, whether in church, school, the office, corporate America, in government, or on set. Principal Snyder is a real villain. So that's what I think about that. And on at 3 minutes, 29 seconds, we're in Sunnydale, and we're like at the entrance of the city where it says Sunnydale. Enter Vamp Fave, blonde, smoking, Spike. Home sweet home. Dun, dun, dun. This is the introduction of Spike. And I think it's fantastic. He gets out of the car. He's got these boots on. He's like a real rebel, I don't know. I just feel like a song from The Clash should be playing. But anyway, this is a big episode, and we're going to have James later. So now we're going to watch at 9 minutes, 22 seconds. You're going to watch me watch this scene where we're in Buffy's room, and it's with Buffy and Joyce. And Joyce confronts Buffy about the upcoming parent-teacher night and how Buffy didn't tell her. How long have you known about this parent-teacher night, Buffy? Oh, like the last 2 weeks. What do you think, like, for every student, and I know, oh my gosh, like, this is just a terror situation for all kids in school, especially when the parents like, what do you think your teachers are going to tell me about you? You're like, not good things. She says, I think they'll all agree that I do show up, bring a pen, to class, ready to absorb the knowledge. I love that expression, absorb the knowledge. And she says, and this absorption rate, how is this reflected in your homework and your test scores? What can you really tell about a person based on test scores? It's a cute delivery. And then I love how Joyce says this, which is whether or not she's ever going out with her friends ever again. Oh, that, Buffy says. So she says, Joyce says, I really look forward to meeting your principal. Won't that be something? Won't that be something? Oh my God, she's terrified. Then Joyce walks over to the bed. This is a conversation, honestly, I don't know about you guys watching this, but for me personally, I never had this kind of dialogue with my parents where, Joyce calmly walks over, knowing that the report is not going to be good. She sits on the bed next to her and is just like, look, sweetheart, life is more than grades and homework. My parents would have never said that to me. It would have been like, actually, your life, this is your job. Your grades and your homework are 100% like your whole world. You need to perform. So it's sweet. I wish my parents talked to me like this. But then Joyce lays it on. Kind of guilting Buffy and saying, because of you getting in trouble at the last time, we had to start over. We had to move schools. I had to, start a new job, start a new, business, not to mention a new life, a whole new town. And she's like, Buffy's like, and you don't want to do this again. It's a lot of freaking pressure to not burn down a school. Ugh, and the killer, what I want is to not be disappointed in you again. I think, honestly, if you think about when I think about my parents, getting yelled at or having this oppression, this oppressive feeling perform high marks, high level at every turn. And then you have this other side of a parent that's just kind of this other version of a parent that is completely foreign to me, which is just saying, I just don't want to be disappointed again. Disappointing your parent is probably way more devastating than maybe being yelled at, right? It's just such a, I don't know, just it's way worse than being yelled at, I think. And Buffy is rightfully saying, Mom, the last thing I ever want to do is disappoint you. She says, I'm trying. I really am. She has a lot of pressure on her right now. Wait till you get a job, she says. Sleep tight. And then Buffy walks over to her bureau and opens a drawer. And inside that drawer is, stakes and crucifixes and, all the things, holy water. And she goes, I already have a job. It's kind of poignant. The minimization. I just remember this one time when I was a kid, and this is unrelated to schoolwork, but I just remember one time telling my mom about me having a crush on somebody, or it came up, or she asked me about it. I don't know. It's not something I would freely offer, but it came up. And I'll never forget the moment when my mom just kind of said, oh, well, you're going to be in love 1,000 times again. And it kind of reminds me, this scene kind of reminds me of that moment in my life, because it's a parent kind of minimizing your experience and not being able to be with you where you're at that point in time in your life, because that's the only part of your life that you know, right? Like, we can only have our own experiences. And so when a parent is, looking at your life from the macro picture, like, oh, this won't matter in 5 years, or this person won't mean as much to you in 2 years or a year, it's kind of shitty. It's actually just kind of shitty. It's just making a kid feel like their lived experience is less. It's just not, it's not as important as it should be, and it's just really not meeting you where you are or where you're at in your life. And I feel like that is a disconnect. Like, it's not bridging relationships. It's just creating more distance. You can't relate to your kid because you're just constantly minimizing their lived experience and how they're feeling about a boy or their grade or their school teacher, or, how hard the pressures are for her specifically, having a Slayer job, trying to fit in with her friends, the peer pressure of that, perform in school and not get kicked out, and, but still trying to have to stay alive and navigate her relationship with her parents. I mean, it's a lot. And I just think, like, it would be awesome if parents did kind of like their level best in meeting kids where they are, I guess, I think about my son and I think about what he's going through and what he went through as a high school, an experience that I never had, the pandemic being one of them. He had divorced parents. It's just a lot. Like, and I think I could have done a better job, certainly at different times, being with him more about the pressures he was feeling. So, I don't know. I feel bad for Buffy in this scene. And that's what I have to say about that. So, moving on to 20 minutes, 36 seconds, Drew and Spike's room. So, they have Sheila. She's all tied up in their room. And here we learn a little bit about their history as a couple, and that they were in Prague before the Hellmouth and was ran out by a mob. Spike shares concern about Drusilla not eating. She says she's not hungry. And he tells them that now they are on the Hellmouth, that they will get color back in her cheeks, metaphorically speaking. The dynamic between Drusilla and Spike is really unusual to me. Drusilla is both the child and the mother, telling him what to do. Go upstairs and cleanse with them. The boy doesn't trust you, meaning the anointed one. She tells him what he should do, as he proves later how impatient he is and rules by force and fear. He's impulsive like a child and all the rest. Meanwhile, they're crazy about each other. I'm confused. Who has the power in this relationship? What is their dynamic? To me, it just feels a little bit, well, it's like certainly the most interesting relationship I've ever seen on television. So I thought that was kind of cool. There is this other scene here at 21 minutes, 20 seconds. We're in the library with Jenny, Calendar, Buffy, Willow, Xander, Cordelia. All of a sudden, Cordelia is helping them whittle steaks. Like, she's just there. This is just not explained. We went with her, like, being invited, being a part of, being thankful, being grateful, understanding the dynamic and what the supernatural forces that are at work here on the Hellmouth, and that she's been exposed. She knows what's up. And she's rejected hanging out with them, but now, just out of nowhere, she's helping them whittle steaks. I thought that was interesting. P.S. My dress on Cordy's dress, oh my God, I love it. It's so good. So at 30 minutes, 7 seconds, we're in the library. Giles, Jenny, Calendar. Basically, Jenny says, don't go out there to Giles. There's at least 3 vampires in the hall. And Giles says, I am the watcher. I am responsible for her, meaning Buffy, and I have to go. Jenny. And I think, like, at that moment, Jenny's going to say, don't go. She says, Rupert, be careful. And I thought that was a really sweet moment of understanding Giles and knowing she has to let him go, role modeling a good relationship between people who care about one another and really see each other, right? So Jenny Calendar is really understanding and accepting of Rupert's role and his need to facilitate that role and to protect Buffy. And, I just thought it was really pretty great that Jenny Calendar was like, saw him and understood, even though she knew the dangers at hand. At 30 minutes, 50 seconds, moving on to the library, Giles says, "Let me help you." Buffy says, "Giles, my mother's in that room. If I don't make it out of here, I know you'll make sure she does." Giles says, "Bloody right, I will." And I thought that was touching and a poignant scene of sacrifices they are willing to make for each other. They're soldiers for each other. And I really feel that bond more than ever, in this episode. Next up, we're going to watch a scene at 34 minutes, 26 seconds. Okay, so we're in the school hallway. Angel, Spike, Xander, Vamps, Angel and Spike reunite. So Angel is acting like he doesn't care about Buffy. Watch. Okay, first of all, Xander has no idea. He did not, obviously Angel didn't tell him, Xander, what the plan was. So Angel is jealous. He's in vamp face and he's got Xander in a headlock for this scene inside the hallway where he meets up with Spike for the first time. And he's acting like he's his old and jealous self. And Spike's like, "Well, and jealous, I'll be damned. I'll be damned." Stoked to see his old friend. They're both laughing and hugging. Meanwhile, Xander is in a headlock. This entire scene, which honestly, I'm sure brought up a lot of feelings. Not comfortable. I taught you to always guard your perimeter. Tisk, tisk. You should have someone out there. I did. I'm surrounded by idiots. What's new with you? Angel's like, everything. Come up against this Slayer? She's cute. Not too bright, though. Urgh. And then we do like a little tight shot on Xander looking up at Angel like, I knew it. He's telling Spike that he gave Buffy the puppy dog, "I'm all tortured" act. So I guess that's an act for men? Keeps her off my back when I feed. He sounds like Danny Zuko when he says that line. It literally took me back to Grease in that second. People still fall for that Anne Rice routine, Spike says. What a world. They're both laughing. I knew you were lying. Undead liar guy, Xander says. And then Xander's like pissed and Angel and jealous is like roughing his neck. And then he exposes Xander's neck to Spike as if they're both, going to feed on him. Want a bite before we kill the Slayer? So why are you so scared of the Slayer? Meaning, like, why haven't you killed her already? You're Angelus. You've been here and she isn't dead yet? He's not scared, he says. You would have taken her out in a heartbeat once upon a time, Spike prompts. Now look at you. This torture thing is an act, right? You're not housebroken, Spike says. Them fighting words. I saw her kill the master. Hey, you think you can take her alone? Be my guest. I'll just feed and run. No, Spike says. Don't be silly. We're all friends here. We'll do it together. they go to lean in and bite Xander. And by the way, Xander's just like not even moving. He's just kind of accepting this. He didn't knock him out, but Spike punches Angelus in the face. You think you can fool me? He's mad. He's so mad. He storms off. You were my sire, man. You were my... He searches for the word and then comes up with Yoda. Things change, Angelus says. Not us. We're demons. Man, I can't believe this. You Uncle Tom. It's a great line. Come on, people. This isn't a spectator sport. And they start to chase Xander and Angelus. And Angelus runs. He runs. I mean, I understand why Xander would run, but why does Angel run? What is happening? Nancy boy. And then Spike senses that the Slayer is above him in the hallway. Guys, why? Why did Angel run away? Just wondering. Like, is he fearful of Spike? And also, I literally just learned that Angel was Spike's sire. I had no idea. I did not know that. I did not know that. And I should have known that. I just never knew that. So Darla made Angel and Angel made Spike. Who made Drusilla, I wonder? Anyway, I just thought that was really cool. So moving on. So we're at 38 minutes, 31 seconds. We're in the library. Joyce, Giles, and the others escape through the stacks, but Joyce stops in her tracks as they're all making their way out of the library and out of the school that has been overtaken by all of these vamps. And it's like this mother's intuition. She like stops. She's not going to run away. She ain't going nowhere without her daughter. Her mama bear has been activated. So at 39 minutes, 13 seconds, we're in the student lounge. Spike, Buffy, Joyce. Joyce, you get the hell away from my daughter. Spike, women, and flees. What the hell does that even mean? Women. What? Spike, the scariest, like William the Bloody, gets a little bump on the head with an axe and is just like, oh, women, and runs away. Okay, he will live another day and more pandemonium to be had, I guess. At 39 minutes, 30 seconds, Joyce, nobody lays a hand on my little girl. I love seeing Joyce embrace her own courage to go back for her daughter and is then witness to her daughter's power as a fighter and leader, but also helps her by knocking Spike over the head with the axe. I mean, a mother-daughter slay team? I mean, is that what we got going on here? I'd love to see this. It's heartwarming, and their hug was very sweet. It was very sweet. So now we're up to 40 minutes. We're almost through the episode. 40 minutes, 15 seconds. We're at the front of the school. Angel, Xander, and Xander says, why didn't you punch him before he had the chance to clock you? Why didn't you clock him before he had the chance to clock you? Angel says, I told you I couldn't make the first move. I had to see if he was buying it or not. And Xander says, and if he bit me, you would have known he bought it. Angel says, we would have known he bought it. Xander says, what's the deal with you being Spike's sire? What is a sire? So this scene is an interesting one because the two male main characters, I mean, aside from Rupert Giles, Angel and Xander, there is or was a lot of tension, I think, for Nikki's character to be seen in a better light, more masculine light. Moving on to 40 minutes, 45 seconds, school front, Principal Snyder and the police guy. The cop says, I need to say something to the media people. Principal Snyder says, so? The cop says, so you want me to use the usual story, gang-related PCP? Principal Snyder says, what do you have in mind? The truth? The cop says, right, gang-related, PCP. Principal Snyder knows. He knows? So why isn't he helping the Slayer? Why is he on her case? Why isn't he working with her? Oh, my God. It's so crazy to me. I don't know. What is this? Ego, pride, stupid males not letting women, like, why can't we just cooperate? We're going to watch the next scene at 41 minutes. So we have Joyce. The setup is they're on the street. It's the wrap up, the episode wrap up, where Joyce gets to have kind of a conversation with Buffy and everything that took place, what she was witness to, what Principal Snyder had told her, and then telling her that, you know, well, it's just a wrap up. It's a wrap up of what's going on. You know, Buffy asks her mom, like, what did you and Principal Snyder talk about anyway? Principal Snyder had told Joyce that she was a troublemaker. Well, fuck him. And I could care less. This is such a great scene. It's so special. I have a daughter. Okay, this scene, I'm going to read this on the prompter. And I could care less. I have a daughter who can take care of herself, who is brave and resourceful and thinks of others in a crisis, no matter who you hang out with or what dumb teenage stuff you think you need to do. I'm going to sleep better knowing all of that. I actually get a little emotional thinking about how incredibly supportive she is of her daughter. And like, I bet that means so much to Buffy to hear her mom say, I'm proud of you. And I know you're going to do stupid stuff, but like what I saw you do today, what I was witness to, I can rest assured that you're going to be okay out there in the world. You can take care of yourself. What a compliment. What an empowering thing for Buffy. It's really sweet. And then came the joke. Who's brave and resourceful and thinks of others in a crisis. I said this. You do. I'm going to sleep better knowing all of that. And she grins. How about, but how long until this wears off and you start ragging on me? And then she says, at least a week and a half. Very cool. Sweet. This is a sweet, sweet scene. Oh, I'm really touched by that. So at 41 minutes, 33 seconds, we're in the broom closet with Cordelia and Willow, and Cordelia's on her knees praying, if you get me out of this, I swear I'll never be mean to anyone ever again unless they really deserve it, or if it's that time of the month, we covered this, in which case I don't think you or anyone else can hold me responsible. Willow says, ask for some aspirin. Cordelia, can you please send some What? Ask for the aspirin. What the menstruation line? It kills me. It's not cool. Anyway, at 41 minutes, 59 seconds, we're with Drusilla and Spike at their place. Drusilla says, Spike, did she hurt you? Spike, I'm being silly. I'm not even trying. Spike says, all mopey. Spike says, it was close, baby, but Drew. Oh, come here, Spike. A slayer with family and friends, not sure. That was in the brochure. Drew says, you'll kill her, and then we'll have a nice celebration. Spike says, yeah, a party. How's the annoying one? Which I thought was cute. Drew says, he doesn't want to play. Spike figures. Spike's version of making nice with the Anointed One is basically to kill him, making him the new Underlord. Dun, dun, dun. Spike, I was rash, he says to the Anointed One, goes to make nice with him. And if I had to do it all over again, and then it's ... Woo, am I kidding? I would do exactly the same. Only I would do this first. And he lunges for the Anointed One, puts him in the cage, pulling him up into the sunlight to burn. Famous last words from Spike. From now on, we're going to have a little less ritual and a little more fun around here. End episode. Hi, everybody. Hi, James. Welcome to the Bitches Back podcast. A first watch podcast about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, two shows that we both spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears making. Yeah. And I have never watched. My question is, have you ever watched? I mean, I heard that for this episode, you rewatched to join us today, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you for doing your homework. But have you ever watched?
It's so funny. I watched initially, like we all did, to see how we looked in the episodes, and then I didn't rewatch for a long time. And I recently did, uh, just because of this whole reboot issue. And I had to go back and watch it just to ask myself, can you play that character again? Can just never mind the externals. Can you
Right.
internally get back to that psychology? And so I watched for,
James,
yeah.
are you exclusively admitting that you're a part of the reboot?
I am not. No, I have no idea. Um, I have. Let's see. What can I say? There is interest in having me back, um,
Sure.
but uh,
Fantastic.
but I've been. You know what? I've been saying to when asked that if I was producing the reboot, I wouldn't call me yet. I would I would need first I would have to do the origin story of the new Slayer. I would have to introduce all of her friends. I would have to set up the new world, and I would have to get them into at least one adventure together before I dropped in any other characters, whether it's other new characters that I imagine or whether it's the characters from the original show. And so I wouldn't imagine that I would be called until the earliest would be the end of season one, possibly into season two is when I'd do it. And so I guess I would be surprised if I'm not called, and I would be surprised if I was called now. And so,
Who
yeah,
else would
yeah,
you be surprised if they weren't called? I wasn't even going to explore this with you, by the way. This is just an impromptu thing that just
yeah, yeah,
happened,
yeah.
like right
Yeah.
now. But
We're
but
all like
just
we're
since we're
actors, so
speaking about the world, since we're like thinking about the world and revisiting it, like who else could you imagine not being a part of the reboot? Like for me, I can't imagine Willow not being a part of it,
yeah.
or Angel, or you. Um, who else could you imagine, like, you know, could you imagine not doing the reboot with?
I can't imagine them not wanting to use anybody. They're so well. All the characters are so well defined, and
Do
if
you
the
see a
characters,
world with Xander?
uh, if if he were up for it, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
I think the question is not whether the character would be good in the thing. The question is whether Nick would be up for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I can. It's so interesting because when I wasn't planning on talking about this, but it just as it relates to the reboot and as you were saying what you were saying, it made me think, you know, what about Anya? What about Tara? For Cordelia, I feel like she would be an amazing addition, obviously, but there was 4 seasons of Buffy that happened without Cordelia. So I don't know how integral to any kind of Buffy reboot Cordelia would necessarily be, except for a desire by the powers that be to just sort of give that character, her due in terms of being a beloved character and seeing her through. But like, I can't I wonder like how that works in terms of characters that have, either gone off to another dimension, passed away. It is a sci-fi show. It is plausible, of course,
Mhm.
in this world and realm to bring them back. I mean, Cordelia Chase came back for Slayers for Audible. So, there are the Buffyverse is a supernatural verse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Magic is a great thing. You don't have to explain anything. Not like Star Trek. They have to come up with some kind of scientific explanation for whatever's happening. It's
Yeah.
just, oh, it's a spell. She's, we do cast a
Always.
spell. Hi, Cordelia. You're back.
Oh,
Wonderful.
hey,
And
what's
just,
up?
get on with the story. Yeah. I do reference Star Trek a lot because I was a Star Trek fan, and I watched the original a lot, and then I watched Star Trek Next Generation. Um, and then I got busy, and I don't know all of Star Trek. But what happened with Next Generation, which was the first reboot, new show, was they had the the original cast on, but it was really kind of on with cameos. It was really just for one episode, you know. Um, and the most important thing that I think made Next Generation work was that the theme remained, and the theme of Star Trek is hope. Hope that the human race is not going to blow itself up. Hope that we're going to mature and actually, as a culture, supporting each other and accepting each other, rather than trying to dominate each other or kill each other off. And what would the future look like if that really did happen? And actually, it would be pretty cool, you know. And that was kept. That was right front and center in both shows, and I think that that's to a large extent why both shows worked. And so that they switched out what century they were dealing with. They switched out what the characters were, but the center of it remained. And it's more than anything, my hope is that the new show clocks what we were doing in the first show and holds to that theme, which is borrowed from Hamlet, actually. And I talked with the writers about this. Hamlet is known as the greatest work of Western literature. And I think one of the reasons for that is the theme. The theme of Hamlet is it's hard to be a human being. It hurts to be here. The world is massively messed up. And it's just really tough. But don't give up. Don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on the world. Find something to fight for. What you decide to fight for is up to you, of course, but find that thing for yourself and don't give up on it. As
Right.
Hamlet says, take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing in them. I see buttons at conventions that say, what would Buffy do? And it's kind of
Yeah.
the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great story, if we have time, like this is, we're going off on left field, but what the hell? What I think the most kick-ass band in rock and roll ever is this punk rock feminist band out of Russia called Pussy Riot. And
I know Pussy Riot. They are very political.
Oh my God, they're so badass. They make the Sex Pistols look like posers, man. And the Sex Pistols were not posers at all, but in comparison to Pussy Riot, like, wow. So they were, for anybody out there who's not familiar with Pussy Riot, they were singing about how Vladimir Putin was an authoritarian jackoff, and he was ruining the country and destroying their democracy. And Vladimir Putin's people were like, shut up, you stupid women, know your place or we'll put you in prison. And Pussy Riot was like, F you, and they just kept going, and they got put in jail for quite a good bit of time. And while they were in jail, they were told, if you recant everything that you were talking about, we'll let you out. And they were like, F you, And finally, they did get out of jail without recanting anything, and they escaped to Western Europe at a time where
how did they get out?
I don't know. That part I don't know. I think I don't know. But they did get out. They got to Western Europe. They escaped. And this was at a time when Putin was assassinating Russian nationals in France, in England, in Germany. If they were speaking out against the regime, Putin's regime, he would have them killed wherever they were. And that didn't shut him up. So these guys they're badass in my book. They came over to the US recently, and they went to Manhattan. And being punk rockers, they spent the morning getting in people's faces saying, wake up, wake the heck up.
Yeah, wake up.
Right?
I saw it.
And then they were interviewed, and they were asked, why are you here? And I said, well, actually, thank you for asking. After being through what we went through in our country and seeing what you're going through in your country right now, we do have a little message for you. What is it? And they said, don't give up. And when I heard that, I started dancing around my house, because I was like, that's what we were saying on Buffy. That's the Hamlet thing. That's the most useful thing you can tell people who are facing challenge. And I hope that is where they're going with, more than anything else, with the reboot. I think if they do, they're going to find the gold in the mountain. And that makes me the most excited. And so I think if they call me, they're probably going to want a cameo or a guest spot or something like that, because I have to remember that, we're dealing with 8 to 10 episode seasons. And the way that streaming works is that shows usually last about 3 seasons. So their pages they only have a certain amount of pages to tell their story. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that they're not going to be wanting to use too many pages on Spike. I don't know. I really don't know, but this is not 22 episodes a year where you can just throw in a bunch of stuff. And
Yeah, and
so
build up the character arc and all of that. But
yeah,
more importantly, like if you were like, because you just said if they didn't spend enough time, I don't know how much time they're going to devote to it to Spike. And Buffy herself is reoccurring. She's not in all shows produced. She
yeah,
is producing the show, but
yeah,
not in all shows produced. So it's hard to imagine any of us from that era that would be a part of it would be in it more than one or two episodes. Who knows? Who knows? I would hope to be in more, but whatever. I'll
yeah.
take whatever I can get. But the point is that I wonder if they do utilize you, right? And
Mm.
they do. I would imagine if they're going to, I would imagine Angel's got to be a part of it. Spike's got to be a part of it. Two of her biggest loves, right?
Really
Are
though,
you?
really, I mean, realistically, the
Yeah.
ongoing story of Buffy Summers, is it going to be all about her ex-boyfriends in high school? Really? Like how many of your
I don't think
ex-boyfriends?
you can't go forward unless you address the back. In my opinion, you have
Okay.
to address it. That is my opinion. Those really, first of all, Angel, the episode Angel in season one was, I think, what put the show on the map. Like that incredible love story, the forbiddenness of it, the
Mhm.
awkwardness of it, like just the positions that they're each in. She's a slayer, he's a vampire, he's working for redemption. She doesn't even know. When she finds out, she freaks out and screams bloody murder. She had just invited a vampire, her arch nemesis, into her home and fell in love with him. Shit. Like you cannot really go forward without addressing and bringing forth and conjuring that. In my opinion, this is just
Yeah.
conjecture. I just don't. That love story was for all ages, right? You can't not address those relationships, and
I
apparently
just
yours
think you're
is too.
gonna
But
have.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I
But
just
wait, let me
I
get this out.
okay.
Are you pro Spike with Buffy or pro Angel? Who do you think Buffy belonged to
All
or
right, I'm going
belongs
to
with?
explain this to you in character. It's got to be coming from Spike. Love, when Angel and
Do it.
Buffy get together. I mean, I don't like to think about it, but if they do the deal, right? Angel goes evil, right?
Yeah.
He starts ripping people to pieces. She don't like that behavior. Let me tell you, it don't work. It can never work. So she's mine. Suck it, Angel. Get used to it. You can't have her.
So, okay, you are definitely the
It's
Spike. You're Team Spike.
Well, do you want Angel to go evil? Because he does a lot of damage. So I don't think the cops in
Honestly,
LA
I'm
really
really
want him to
okay
go
with
evil.
it. I'm really okay with it because I think that Angel and Cordy belong together. So this
There you
works out
go.
perfectly.
There you go.
So I heard you say that you did watch the show when it initially came out. Like when?
Well, like
Well,
they,
were
they
you
would,
in a series regular? Had
yeah,
you were in the first season or two? But like all 7 seasons, did you watch it when the time came out? When the
yeah.
when the show was coming out?
That was one of the great things was that they were giving us these cassette tapes, and they would give it to us like 2 days or one day before it aired because they didn't trust us not to spill the beans, which I think is probably wise because we were all doing so many interviews. Um, but we did get it before Earth got it. And so one of my favorite things was to go home and watch it, knowing that I was one of the select few that got to see the new episode before anybody else did.
You were so select, even I wasn't selected to what, or maybe I did and I forgot or blocked it out or I was too busy surviving.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. In character,
What?
so you're wearing prosthetic teeth, which I've discussed at nauseum with Julie and other actors that have had to wear the prosthetic teeth.
Yeah.
When there are certain lines, like I'll be back, these iconic one-liner lines. When you say I kill you, is it hard to say I kill you with prosthetics in character because you're an American, so you're putting on this British accent?
Yeah.
And I think that pronunciation of kill, I'll kill you. I can't even do it with a fake. I'm terrible with accent.
Kill you.
Can you
Yeah.
say I kill you in character?
Yeah. No,
Well, is it
I'll
hard?
kill you. I'll kill you.
I, ki-
I'll
I
kill
kill you.
you. Yeah. No, I think I
You
put
did it
the
great.
L in there. I'll kill you. Because I think a pause. So yeah, I mean, if you go through it, it's I kill you. So there's no L there. But I think I said it slow. So I said I'll kill you. I think I did that.
Yeah.
I think I did that.
You also have a great speaking voice, like a great like voice for all that voiceover work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I have a question about your character. Do
Mm.
you know what your character's nickname was before Spike?
William the Bloody, because he was a bloody awful
Yeah.
poet. Yeah, yeah. And I also know my actual last name was William Pratt, which is funny because a Pratt in England is not a Pratt is just like a hopeless
And
person, you know. It's the guy that trips at
yeah.
the wrong moment. Yeah, spills his tea all the time. Yeah.
Tell everyone you've ever met right now, 'cause the bitch is